What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and I've decided to finally do a movie review, and as you can tell, it is 2009's Zack Snyder's Watchmen. Now let's get into this video. And now, if you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, or if you've known me personally, you know I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's filmmaking, and I'm a fan of the graphic novel Watchmen. So these two perfect combination, recipe for a surprise, you know. And I don't think any director could tackle this film better than Snyder. Snyder loves to put things off from comics. He loves to insert them in his movies. He's basically known as the comic book man, because out of all the movies, the most accurate or comic book accurates are probably his DC films, you know, Man of Steel, BVS, and Watchmen, and possibly the Snyder Cut, depending on what we see. But Watchmen is a phenomenal film, and I think this film is one of the most underrated films of all time. There is a Snyder cut of this film, surprisingly. 3 hours. Almost every film Snyder makes, there's a Snyder cut. I mean, this is like he has like 3 films that I can remember that have a Snyder cut. Watchmen, BVS, and also about to get Justice League Snyder cut. But anyways, my review for this film is that it's a great cinematography film. There's great visuals. And before I say anything, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what should I talk about next. But here's a quick disclaimer to all my comic book fans. This is based on the movie itself. I am not going to get into the graphic novel. I am not going to get into what the graphic novel did. I actually prefer the film over the graphic novel, and I'm about to explain. I love the graphic novel a lot, and I love the HBO Max series that got released for the Watchmen. Now, let's get into the video. Anyways, Watchmen takes place in the late 70s or early 80s, I forgot. But there's a group of superheroes based off the Minutemen. And it's Dr. Manhattan, Silk Spectre, Night Owl, Rorschach, and the comedian. And the story is not your average superhero film. It is not your average graphic novel. It is not your average comic book film. So if you're coming into this movie wanting to see a group of superheroes team up to fight justice, then you're not going to get that. You're not. So this whole film's theme is criticizing what does it mean to be a superhero? What does it mean to be a protector of justice? Would someone like this, with this amount of power, actually be willing to protect the world from injustice? Would someone with these abilities? So the plot starts off with Ozymandias. Yeah, this is a spoiler review. I forgot to mention that, but it's a review. Anyways, the movie starts off with the comedian's death. We see the comedian dying, being beaten up in his apartment and falling from his window. And Rorschach goes to investigate. Rorschach is the detective aspect of this film. He goes to investigate, and he believes there's someone out to get vigilantes. And during this time, Silk Spectre, and Dr. Manhattan have a love. And they really don't have much connection. It's like forced love. Well, David, Daniel, who is Night Owl, he is a retired hero. He's a little bit overweight, and he doesn't want that superhero life. He sees it as a past. And his dad, who was a previous Night Owl, wrote a book about what it's like to be a crime-fighting hero. And yes, before Watchmen, there was Minutemen. So we're going to get a ton of Minutemen references in this video. They're kind of like the next generation. And not only that, the other character we follow is Ozymandias. He is one of the heroes from the Watchmen who now becomes corporate, and he sells his own action figures after revealing his identity. And this is a world where vigilantes are outlawed. All the Watchmen, they're retired, they just stopped fighting, and Rorschach is the only one who is still continuing with this crime-fighting life. Dr. Manhattan, he's still working on Mars, but that's not crime fighting. And also, another little thing is that all the characters don't have powers. Besides Dr. Manhattan, the only character with powers is Dr. Manhattan. And so during this film, we see Silk Spectre and Night Owl fall in love while Rorschach is trying to investigate the scene of the fall of the comedian. Is there an actual person out there to kill vigilantes? Ozymandias during this time there's an attempt to kill him, and Rorschach sees that as part of the vigilantes being in trouble. Dr. Manhattan, he is being accused of causing cancer to his ex-girlfriend or wife, I forgot. And the comedian, of course, is dead. So Silk Spectre and Daniel Night Owl, they actually end up falling in love because, Silk Spectre isn't into Dr. Manhattan. And they're all very troubled individuals. And I'm not going to get more into details with the plot. I just kind of wanted to quickly say what the beginning was like. If you want to go watch the film, you go watch it. But anyways, let me talk about all the little bad things I didn't like about this film. Now, one thing is the slow motion. Zack Snyder is amazing with his slow motion. Don't get me wrong. Does it really well in BVS, Man of Steel, Sucker Punch, and other films. But in this film, a lot of the slow-mo was really weak and weird looking, so it did ruin the film in a bit. Slow motion was just really weird and really off. But that's just like a small nitpick. Another thing is the movie at times is very slow paced. It can work in its favor, but sometimes it works badly. And yeah, that's really the only criticism I have. This film is beautifully well shot, beautifully well cinematography. The cinematography in this film was just insanely visually, beautiful. And this film is a rated R film. So if you're a child or, you're someone that doesn't like blood or films that require like blood or something like that, then don't go watch this film. This is not a film for you. If you're someone who only likes the average Marvel cookie cutter film, then I would not recommend this film. But if you're someone who just wants to see, troubled individuals, drama, then I would recommend this film definitely. Like, I would give that thing 100% Rotten Tomatoes just to recommend it. But anyways, the best things about this movie is I love seeing the Dr. Manhattan perspective. A man with godlike abilities, what would it do to its humanity? Normally with the Superman, we start to think, what does it do? Like, what does it feel to have godlike powers? But it never challenges what it's like to lose your humanity. And I love how we got to see that. I also like to see Daniel and Silk Spectre's, love relationship. I love to see the whole mystery behind the comedian. But the best stand-up performance, and I don't know this actor's name, so I apologize for this, but Walter Kovacs' Rorschach. And Rorschach, the whole movie, was really the protagonist. He is a lot like Batman on the detective side. He is a homeless man who has been destroyed by society and becomes this vigilante to bring vengeance to the injustice crime world. And I think one scene I really loved was when the cops got him and they took off his mask. My face. I love the reaction to that, and I think Rorschach is a very cool character with a great performance, And I loved how troubled he is. Like, he doesn't care about anything. He's mad at the world. He sees the world in black and white. He has such a massively conservative point of view of life. And the film as a whole is a very good film. It's a very well thought out film. And this isn't just your average, go into the theater, eat popcorn type of film. This type of film is the one you have to take time to analyze and then think through. The ending of this film was beautiful. I'm not going to spoil what happens because I still want you guys to go watch this film because the ending. And if you read the graphic novel, for the most part, you know what goes on in this film. So if you read the graphic novel but haven't seen the movie, I recommend watching this film. This is probably the most comic accurate film of all time. And I really love this film. I think it deserves more praise. Like, I tell a lot of my friends, Watchmen's one of my favorite comic book films of all time. And they're like, Watchmen? What? There's a Watchmen? And, it's a bit sad. It did come out in 2009. And, I enjoyed the film. It's a new iteration to the comic book genre. I always believed there could be a movie about Watchmen even before I watched the film. And I think Zack Snyder was a perfect director. A lot of the visuals, I think, is probably the most beautiful part. The storytelling was beautiful. The plot was beautiful. Everything was just beautifully made. This movie was phenomenal in many things. And I don't like the criticism of it. I think Zack Snyder did a really well job on putting Watchmen as a film instead of just it being a graphic novel forever. And what do I rate this movie? I give it a solid 9 out of 10. It's a good film. It's a great film. It's phenomenal, and it's not a masterpiece, but it is almost there, and I think that's good enough. And I gotta say, this film is really good, and it doesn't require it being a part of a larger cinematic universe. I know I love cinematic universes. I love the MCU, I love the DCEU, I love the MonsterVerse. But sometimes it's just refreshing to see stories be their own stories. I don't think you need to make every movie connected. It's one thing I do criticize about the MCU, how, Ant-Man had to force in an Avengers reference, or Homecoming had to force in Tony Stark. Not every movie has to be catering to the larger universe. Sometimes I like their own standalone films. And the thing I love about this film is that it's a very risky movie. This movie was really risky to make. And it didn't prove to be a good risk because they didn't, it didn't do really well in the box office. But me personally, I don't believe box office scores are, they're important, but it doesn't make a film good or bad. Avatar was a bang average film, and it for like 10 years, it stayed on top. And also Endgame is okay. It's an okay film, and it's first place for box office. So I genuinely don't believe, that every film has to be box office hits. Is something people don't understand. But of course, it should have made its money, but it's not 2009 anymore. We ain't gotta worry. Watchmen was a classic, and I think that's really all I have to say about this video, because Watchmen was a great film, and it is not your average comic book film, and it's a film that I think it's slept on a ton, and that is why I think Watchmen is phenomenal. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I know y'all, worked your hardest just to, help out this channel. 53 subscribers. That is good. And, it keeps growing. And, I'm getting more views now and more likes. Anyways, I just gotta thank you guys. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, IsaacDino21. And until next time, I'm out, boys.